RR MRCN News. Good day, world. What a great day to start our morning in the Philippines. You are watching MRCN News. Reports are ready on a radio. And I'm Krisa Baybayon, your news anchor for today, providing you with a special news for the 1990 Luzon earthquake. The 1990 Luzon earthquake occurred on July 16 in the Philippines. The disaster was dubbed the 1990 Killer Earthquake, causing devastating effects, thousands of fatalities, and million worth of damages. Answering your questions about the disaster in our broadcast, let us dig deeper into details with the help of our station reporters. Starting with our first report, Mark John Ray Spiritu.
The disaster was a result of strike-slip movements along the Philippine Fault and the Dig-Dig Fault within the Philippine Fault system. A fault is a fracture or zone of fractures between two blocks of rock. Faults may range in length from a few millimeters to thousands of kilometers. During an earthquake, the rock on one side of the fault suddenly slips to the other, and thus in the 1990 Luzon earthquake, a strike-slip movement that moves horizontally occurred. The earthquake happened in Rizal, Nueva Ecija, northeast of Cabanatuan. It occurred on July 16 at 4:26 p.m. The estimated people that were killed caused by the earthquake are 1,621 people. The survivors in Luzon were traumatized and scared that it might happen again. That's why almost all of them migrate to another town, even in another country. The damages resulting from this disaster were estimated at 10 million pesos. As the earthquake occurred at 4:26 p.m., the shaking lasted for about 45 seconds. Its extensive affects the northern and central Luzon, having its epicenter pinpointed at Nueva Ecija, while Baguio, Cabanatuan in Nueva Ecija, and Dagupan in Pangasinan are the cities that had been affected the most.
Thank you, Spiritu. Next in line for our second report. Tell us your informations, Elvin Jane Punzal.
Since we didn't have great technologies back then, the cause of the earthquake was not forecasted because no one, and not even Phibox, can predict it. After the earthquake, the power outage also affected the way to release where the epicenter of the earthquake is and how strong it would be. Due to this, there were no warnings issued after the earthquake. Hence, all of the people panicked. They didn't know the proper evacuation plan, and all of them were worried about their loved ones. Due to the outrage of the disaster, we've searched for more traces of the civilians, that based on the information provided, it appears that approximately 1,200 people had passed away, while another 3,000 people were injured and 300 remain missing. The loss of these lives cannot be measured in terms of peso or dollars, and that a human life is worth more than any amount of money, and it's impossible to put a price on it. This could have been prevented if people would known when and where this would happen. The lack of plans and safety measures for buildings left the country. In addition, the unpreparedness in financial and unable to evacuate because of poor warnings and the lack of effective evacuation plans that led to the outcome of the disaster that causes the tragic loss of many lives.
Thank you, Punzal. Following our second report, here is John Kirby Hechanova for our third report.
Since the most capital cities are in Luzon, the devastating effects of the earthquake that happened on July 16, 1990 not only affected the residential communities, but also paralyzed some businesses, hotels, tourist attractions, and agricultural lands from doing their usual routine, which further had influence of the GNP of the country. Yes, it did affect the economy of the country due to the earthquake that happened in Luzon in 1990. It has so many economic impacts like infrastructure damage, agricultural losses, and cost of repairing the damage of the earthquake in Luzon did. The total economic cost of the earthquake was substantially damaged, estimated at around 369 million US. Damage to agriculture was pegged at 57 million US, and damage to industry, commerce, mining, and tourism at 148 million US. Damage to the environment, however, is not economically quantifiable, such as the destruction of topsoil and natural vegetation, dams secured, several negative effects such as cracks and numerous landslides within the catchment basin. Electricity production was greatly hampered due to the nearly complete siltation of the Ambuklao Reservoir.
Thank you, Hechanova. Now, we are down to our last and final report. Give us your details, Kim Adrian Baksal.
The 1990 Luzon earthquake brought a huge destruction to the island of Luzon, resulting to the damages and casualties that could never be recovered or restored. Some of the establishments destroyed included hotels like the Hyatt Terraces Plaza, Nevada Hotel, Baguio Hilltop Hotel, Baguio Park Hotel, and the FRB Hotel, and the loss of 2,142 people are the damages and casualties that can never be recovered or restored. The pre-disaster measures and budget for this devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake are not justifiable, since the country's government and people were not prepared when this earthquake happened. It was a wake-up call for the Philippines to take preventive measures and reserve budgets to lessen the damages and casualties if this kind of disaster happened again.
Thank you, Baksal. It is indeed the 1990 Luzon earthquake is one of the tragic part of our country's history of disaster. But despite every disaster, Filipinos are still resilient and hoping for a better tomorrow. And with that, we will end today's news session. Once again, this is MRCN News. Reports are ready on the radio. Thank you for joining us today. DDRRR MRCN News.